So the last parts of the team tab, which I haven't covered yet, if you click on team up at the top, you'll notice that there is a spot for livery. That only applies if you pay for the subscription, which is, I believe, 40 British pounds for a year right now. It recently went on sale for half off, and it was much more reasonable, so I ended up getting that half off special on one of my accounts because I thought that was much more reasonably priced. 40 British pounds for a year of iGP, that's a lot, and that's a long commitment for something that you may end up, not having fun with and stuff like that. So I would hold off, obviously, on paying for anything in iGP Manager. You don't need a livery; it's not going to make you any faster, so on and so forth. So yeah, don't bother with the livery tab for right now, unless you really decide, hey, I'm going to go for this. This seems awesome. Then you can go to the livery tab and you can mess with that. I probably won't be covering any of that stuff down the road. Next thing that you're going to want to do, I'm sorry, the last part of the team is training. My driver actually has already gone through training. Whoever had this driver last already did training with them. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to be taking care of that one in later on in this episode. I'll record that after the race has completed, and because you can do training after each race. You can do training. So after this race that's coming up has happened, I'll go ahead and do the training, and I'll record that, so you'll see it later in this video or in a different video. I don't know how this is going to work yet, but you'll see that later. So for right now, we're going to go ahead and ignore that. Just as a quick mention, just train speed and design. Yeah, go for speed and design. Those should be the ones that you start off with first. So the next thing that you're going to want to do, though, after you've done all your partners and everything like that, is you're going to want to go to the league tab, and you're going to want to go to next race. So this is what you see when you pull up the next race. It's got some information. It says what time it's at, the length of the circuit. That's interesting. I never noticed the pit time. Obviously, it says 0, so that's kind of useless. But yeah, it's got the pit time there apparently. It's got the quali lap record. The race lap record it will always be quicker because people can use KERS in the race and they can't use KERS in qualifying. So you'll see a quali lap record and then a much quicker race lap record. And then it'll give you kind of general information about the track. Downforce levels average, overtaking average. This is for Nürburgring. Surface elevations few, fuel consumption low, tire wear average. So you see everything's either average or low or few. So this is not really a demanding track, which is kind of nice actually to start off with. You also see that there's live weather. It's winter time right now in the northern hemisphere, of course. The temperature cannot get below 10 degrees Celsius in this game. So if it's freezing cold in Germany right now, then it'll be 10 degrees Celsius in the game. It's always based on whatever the temperature is in real life. But again, it can never go below 10 degrees Celsius. The wind does have an effect on your setup and stuff like that, I believe. So you always want to try and do your setup as late as possible. You don't want to forget to do it, though, obviously, that's important. But you do want to do it as close to the race as possible so that the conditions match the race conditions as much as possible as well. So you'll see, I'm getting some strategy advice here from my technical director, Andre Gers. Quite a name, and he's saying fuel should be 4.4 liters per lap, and he is advising a 2-stop strategy. Now, in my experience, 3 stops is generally faster, but Germany is actually one of those tracks where the 3-stop is not faster. I've found in my experience, for example, at Germany, that the best strategy that you can do is a 2-stop and run all soft tires. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but basically you have super soft, medium, and hard compound tires for all the races. You can run 1 compound type, you can run 2, you can run 3, you can run all 4 if you think that's somehow the best strategy. It really doesn't matter. You can run whatever you want to run. But I think it is fastest to do 10 laps per stint and to run soft tires. So coming at the end of lap 10 for another set of soft tires, and again at the end of lap 20 for another set of soft tires. So you'll notice there are 3 tabs in the next race page. There's one that says information, which we're on right now, one that says assembly, and then one that says your driver's name. So we're going to go ahead and click on assembly. This is where you replace parts. Obviously, this account is brand new. I'm, heading into my first race right now. So all of my components are at 100%. So this is where you would see the health of your components, though. So if you saw that your side pods were at 85%, and you wanted to replace those, all you would do is click the little check mark next to side pods, and then you would hit save all at the top right there. And that would make it so that you replaced your side pods before the next race. You'll see at the top, preparation will be locked and any parts refitted 10 minutes before the race. Qualifying is always 10 minutes before the race. So if the race is at 2 p.m., then qualifying is at 1:50 p.m. and you can't do anything with the car after 1:50 p.m. So if at 1:45 p.m. I have engine, chassis, and side pods checkmarked, then at 1:50 p.m. all three of those will be replaced before my car does the qualifying. On the right side here, you'll see the projections as far as cost and the number of engineers and mechanics. So for instance, if I were to checkmark chassis right now, it would tell me that I need 4 engineers and 2 mechanics. Remember, I have 12 engineers and 6 mechanics, so I could replace probably, both the wings and the side pods right now if I wanted to. I could checkmark all 3 of those. Engine is a little bit different story. Engine and internals require extra people. Also, suspension requires extra mechanics. So not every component requires that, typical 4:2 ratio. Only some of them do. Some of them are more. So, your experience may vary, but generally, it's 4 and 2. Generally, you want twice as many engineers as mechanics, but for some components, you do need extra mechanics. So the third and final tab on the next race page is the one that has your driver's name. If you click on that, this is where we get into strategy and setup. So for strategy, generally I like to change it to, it comes default, consistency is key, stick to a competitive pace, but generally I want to change it to the lowest one, is what I'm going for. I forget what it's called. I'm going to try and pull it up right here, right now, actually. Yep, it's called We Must Bring the Car Home, is what that one is called. We must bring the car home, don't take any risks. Basically, that strategy there determines your driver's push level, which we're going to talk more about later on. But I usually go for soft compound tires, which means my driver does not want to push. He wants to just, keep it nice and smooth and not push hard, and don't want to overheat the tires because then you'll be much slower. So you can see, remember my technical director recommended 4.4 liters per lap. So for a 10-lap stint, that's going to require 44 liters. So that's a nice, easy one to work out. You will need to bust out your calculator from now and again when playing this game, so that you can accurately figure out your fuel and stuff. Generally, the technical director will tell you too much fuel. So I'll probably only end up needing 42 liters or 41 liters or 43 liters. He's almost always over, or she, when it comes to estimating the amount of fuel. But it's better to overfuel than it is to underfuel. Obviously, if you have to make an extra stop right at the end of the race, then that's going to drop you way down the order, depending on how competitive the league is. So it's much better to overfuel than it is to underfuel, and you can change the amount of fuel that you put in at the second stop. So I'll leave it at 44 for all of these, and then if I come into the pits at the end of my first stint and I still got 3 liters of fuel in the car, I'll go ahead and take out 2 for the next stint, so that it's only 42 liters rather than 44. So it is adjustable in the race, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Now you'll notice there is a load button. It says load. That won't be available to you because this is your first season. Basically, you can load the setup from a previous season, but again, in your first season, you don't have any old setups to load. You can add a stint to the strategy. You can see that there it's got a button that says add stint. So you can make it a 3-stop or 4-stop or 5-stop. You can make it a 100-stop, I'm pretty sure. Well, no, you couldn't, because there's not 100 laps in any F1 races, but you could do a 50-stop race in a 100% Monaco race if you really wanted to. As far as I know, maybe there is a max, but the point is you can add as many stops as you want. You can always tell your driver to stop at the end of a lap in the race as well. So you can get into all of that stuff in the middle of the race as well. And then on the left-hand side of the page is where you do the actual testing itself. Now I've gone ahead and made some adjustments to the setup before doing any testing. There are a few things that are kind of universal to drivers. First of all, you're always going to want more front wing than rear wing. So when the driver told me 50 for front wing and 50 for rear wing, I went ahead and upped the front wing to 60. Also, the ride height is generally going to be below 20. Most drivers prefer a ride height that's below 20 at every track. Maybe Monaco and Singapore being an exception to that because of the curbing. So I went ahead and took the ride height down from it was at 35 or something stupid like that. Took it down to 20. And the brake balance, they usually like it to be between 60 and 70, depending on the driver and stuff like that. So I went ahead and moved that up to 60. It was at 51, I think, something stupid like that. Went ahead and moved that up to 60, and that's what I went into. So then I went ahead and hit test run, and you'll see it gives some results here. So for my spring stiffness, it says decrease a lot. For tire pressure, it says decrease a little. For gear ratio, it says decrease a lot. For rear wing, it just says increase. Front wing says increase by 3 specifically. Ride height just says decrease, and brake balance just says increase. Now, the system I like to use, everybody's kind of got their own system. Alex Gillen, for example, has a different system, but if it says decrease a lot, that probably means by 20 or more. So I'll go ahead and do 20 as far as that's concerned, roughly. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, around 20. When it says decrease a little, I usually do about 5, maybe 7, maybe 9, maybe 10, somewhere between 5 and 10 when it says a little. So a lot is 20, a little is 5 to 10. The one that says increase, for example, on rear wing, that's going to be 10, a solid 10, maybe 12, something like that. Front wing, it says increase by 3, so I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to increase it by exactly 3. Ride height just says decrease, so once again, I'm going to take that down by about 10. So let's see the actual what I took them down to. So spring stiffness was at 62. I took that down to 40, so I reduced it by 22 on that one. The tire pressure was at 49. It said decrease a little. I took it down to 42, so I decreased that one by 7. The gear ratio was at 46, and it said decrease a lot, which would take it down to 26, which I felt was pretty low. So I took it down to just 35. So I reduced it by 11, even though it said decrease a lot. Rear wing, it said increase, and it was on 50. So I went ahead and increased that to 60. The front wing was at 60, and it said increase by 3, but I was pretty sure that the driver was going to want more front wing after increasing the rear wing. So I went ahead and upped it to 65. Because again, you want more front wing than rear wing, and having 60 at the rear and 63 at the front seemed a bit strange, so I went ahead and just added 2 more to make it 65 at the front wing. Ride height, it said decrease. I did it exactly by 10, took it down to 10. Brake balance said increase, and it was at 60, so I took it all the way up to 70. Now, you'll notice here at this next screen that I hit, you'll see that it changed from test run 4 remaining, and it now says test run 3 remaining. That's because of a problem that I get when I'm connected to the VPN for work. Yes, I did take these pictures while I was working. I was connected to the VPN, and sometimes I'll hit test run, but the stuff on the right doesn't change. It still says increase by 3 on front wing, you'll notice. Everything's exactly the same. So basically it screwed up. It was my own fault. I probably should have just waited till I got off of work to take care of this. But you know, you just got to deal with it. There's nothing I can do about that at this point. So it was at this point that I did decide to expand the advanced strategy side on the right there underneath strategy. It says advanced strategy, you'll notice that. Now, right now, rain is actually turned off for iGP Manager. It's causing some sort of issues where it's causing stuff to crash or something or other. So basically, rain is off right now in iGP Manager, so really it doesn't matter too much. But generally, you don't want to use the intermediates. You want to go for the full wets pretty much as soon as it starts raining. There's very few circumstances of wet weather where the intermediates are better than the full wets. So I always have have it set for 2 millimeters of standing water, change to full wet tires. You'll notice it says if it stops raining, change to blank tires after blank laps. For this race, I set it for soft tires and for 4 laps. That's roughly how long I think it's going to take for the track to dry out, is 4 laps at Nürburgring, give or take. Obviously, I might be wrong about that, but that's my best estimate. So that's what I went for. Now, because this strategy uses soft tires for 10 laps, it's pretty marginal as far as this stuff is concerned. So that's why I have it set for if an unscheduled pit stop occurs within 2 laps of a scheduled pit stop, then add the fuel that was set for the next scheduled pit stop. Which basically means if I come in on lap 8 for a set of wet tires because it all of a sudden started raining, my driver will add the 10 laps of fuel needed for the next stint as well. So then I'll end up doing a 12-lap stint on the set of wets. It works the same way though as far as going from wet tires to dry tires. And I don't want to do 12 laps on a set of soft tires, or I don't want to do more than 12 laps. I'm willing to do 12, but not more than that. So that's why I have it set for 2 at the bottom there. So I went ahead and hit test run again after refreshing the page this time, and it actually went through properly. You'll notice this time it's a little bit more accurate. It's not so much decrease a lot, decrease a little, all that stuff. It's a lot more accurate now. So for spring stiffness, decrease by 2, tire pressure, decrease by 2, gear ratio still says decrease though, so it does look like my driver is looking for a mid-20s gear ratio, which is not very much at all, probably because of the performance of my car. You'll notice the rear wing and front wing both say increase by 3, so actually I think I did a good job on that one by setting the front wing at 65 instead of 63 like it had recommended. Ride height says decrease a little, and brake balance says increase by 2, so she wants 72 on her brake balance, which is pretty high forward. So I went ahead and made those changes. So spring stiffness went from 40 to 38, tire pressure went from 42 to 40, gear ratio I went from 35 down to 28 because I still didn't feel comfortable going all the way down to 25. The rear wing and front wing, I did exactly what it said. I increased them by 3, and then the ride height I decreased by 5. From 10 to 5. Brake balance, I went up to 72. And that left me with 2 tests remaining, but once again it messed up on the next one. So I had to, really I only got 3 tests in for this race because 2 of them messed up. So after the 3rd and final test, she said it feels good for the spring stiffness, feels good for the tire pressure, decrease a little for gear ratio. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see a little, a lot, or increase or decrease. You want specific numbers for your final test. You want feels good to come up, but if you don't get feels good, you want it to be like what my rear wing says, which is increased by 1, or what my ride height says, which is decreased by 3. So gear ratio is the only one that really got messed up. Yeah, I don't remember what I took it down to in the end. I think I did end up taking it down to 25. Rear wing, I obviously increased by 1 up to 64, and the ride height I decreased by 3 down to 2. And then once everything's in there, I hit save all at the top right. In fact, I like to hit save all after every change I make. So I hit test, I make the changes it recommends, I hit save all, then I hit test, I make the changes, I hit save all, and I do that 5 times, assuming that it works each time. And that's pretty much all you need to get set up for the upcoming race. I know it seems like a lot, but again, it does become easier once you have some setups from previous seasons. It gives you a better baseline to start off with. You'll get more feels goods and increase or decrease by a specific amount. You'll get more of those on your first test run once you have some setups from previous seasons that you're able to load. So you're all ready to go for your first race. You've got your setup, you've got your strategy, you got your driver, you got all your people, you're ready to go. So that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. I'm going to go ahead and pick it up when I'm ready for the next one. We'll go over the basics of joining the race and just kind of the buttons that you need to familiarize yourself with on the page and all that kind of stuff. So we'll cover all of that in the next video. thank you guys for joining me for this. I hope it's been helpful to people. I assume a lot of subscribers to this channel aren't really going to be interested in this video. It's probably not going to get loads of view from the subscribers, but I'm hoping that this is a video that will be helpful down the road to people who are searching on YouTube for an iGP manager video to sort of explain things and try and kick things off for them. Again, I know it's a lot of work at the start because you got to sign a lot of people and stuff like that, and you just want to go racing. I understand that, but we're now done with all of that. It is time to go racing, and we're going to see exactly what that's like coming up in the next one.